Who's on vacation there?
Well, Dwayne and
Kevin.
was wondering, oh, Joe's here. Sometimes he goes to this.
Okay, we're live. Watch what you say.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I will call the Waupaca County Emergency Management, Terrorism and Safety Committee to order on this Monday, February 20th, 2023. It's about 9:03 a.m. and we're in room 1153. This meeting and all other meetings are open to the public, maybe. And what's that for? This meeting may inadvertently cause a quorum and other county committees of the County Board of Supervisors. No business decisions of any other committees or Board of Supervisors will be conducted at this meeting. Roll call sheet has gone around. Mr. McClone is on Zooming and agenda approval.
The move with approve the agenda as presented.
Okay, there's a motion by Mr. Moore to approve the agenda. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Murphy. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Approve the minutes of the previous meeting.
Warrant moves to approve the minutes of the previous meeting.
Mark approves the minutes of the previous meeting.
Second.
A second by Mr. Murphy. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion's carried. Public comment, there is no one here from the public. And number one is the EM report, December 22nd and February 2023.
Everybody's got a copy of it in front of them. So the first thing is, we had, I don't know how many snowstorms coming through, and we get multiple webinars from the National Weather Service on, we get updates every day prior to a storm. And I was just thinking this morning, Ron wasn't here, and he asked if we were having a webinar, and I says, I don't know, it's not really hitting until Wednesday, maybe tomorrow. And I didn't more than say that, and we got the email that we have one today at 2:30 for the storm that's coming in this week, which looks like it could be a pretty significant snowfall so far. So that coming up to us, any storm, summer storm, winter storm, they're always really good about communicating with the emergency management community. And then we invite like the schools and highway and public works people and stuff in to watch the meeting too, the ones that will be greatly affected by the weather. And it's just a good way to get the news out, get the weather report out, and then it gives them an opportunity to ask questions and stuff too when they're done with it. So it's more than just watching your local news, and they don't hype it up like the local news does. I mean, they're just giving you the facts. This is what we're seeing. This is what it'll probably be. They've been, for us, they've been pretty good, pretty accurate. We had our twice a year, we try to meet with all of our school administrators and law enforcement. And got over in Manawa, I don't know, was it December, January? I don't know, it all blends together now. So it's always a good meeting. Just we have a little agenda, but a lot of it's just roundtable stuff. Back when we started the public health briefings, Jed and I, with the school administrators, we invited Craig from Wild Rose in because he's got some students from Waupaca County, and they weren't doing anything in Waushara County with that kind of stuff. So we invited him into that. Well, he invited him to this, and he brought his police chief and somebody else again, principal maybe. And I mean, he thought it was great, and hopefully they're going to try to be able to start something like that in Waushara County. But just always a good, just a good meeting. You know what's going on with everybody's schools and what kind of safety issues and stuff they have, and where we can help. We had like COVID stopped. I mean, we were having regular EMS meetings, and that kind of stopped during COVID, and now getting that started again. We had a meeting in here the other day, last month, just getting them all together and came into a Saturday, comp center. A lot of new faces and stuff in there, and with Kelly being the supervisor in there, it's just nice for everybody to get together and meet. And we don't have another one scheduled yet, but there will be one coming up again. We'll probably that group we can meet a couple of times a year, just go over stuff. Eric's been helping out a ton with the 911 mitigation project, where we're getting the E911 stuff going, where they're able to do the texting. And I mean, there's so much to it. To me, on the outside, it's like texting and videos and stuff people will be able to do. But there's so much more to it, where it's easier for the comm center when a 911 call comes in, it's actually another county. It's easier for them to transfer with the new E911 stuff. And I think we're going to be probably one of the first ones in the state.
In verse 5,
Yeah. So,
if everything goes well.
yeah, so far it has. Most of the equipment's in now and hooked up, and I don't know what kind of timeline they have to flip the switch. But,
Early April, we're gonna do some testing like the first week of April, and then the following week probably go live if the testing goes well.
They've had to do a lot of map cleanup stuff, just not really map cleanup stuff, but what they call roads, or road names are sometimes put in differently on the addresses and stuff. So they had a lot of address things to fix.
Probably the,
GIS a lot on that.
the biggest difference is right now, you know, you look at 20, 30 years ago when 911 came out, everybody had a landline. So you had a physical address location tied to a specific phone number. Now there's so many people that rely on cell phones, or they have their VoIP phones through their cable system, and those are mobile. I mean, you can pick your phone up and take it and plug it in anywhere you have internet, and you've got your phone again. So that moves, you know, where your address location is can change. As an example, my son lived in Madison 2 weeks a month, and then he was in Colorado 2 weeks out of the month, and he just took his work phone with him. And I said, just remember, when you call 911 from Colorado, they're gonna think you're in Madison. No, they
Dane County's gonna answer.
No, they won't. I said, try it. You can't call 911. I said, just call them. Just tell them what you're doing. And he called him. He gave his address on Stoughton Road in Madison. So you can fix that. You have to be aware of that stuff. So the new NG 911 doesn't have they call it a tabular database, so that your phone number is tied to a physical location. It's actually geolocated. So your coordinates of where your phone is located will now be tracked, rather than your piece of property is going to be where you actually are. And it's,
So Eric, that'll take care of the traveler? With their,
That doesn't know where they're at.
yeah, it'll help a lot with that. It's just the process of getting that through that. It's a nightmare, but it's going really, really well. And part of the problem with it is GIS people speak one language, communications people speak another language. The telephone providers speak another language, and trying to get all those people together to ask the same questions with the same words. There are so many acronyms and abbreviations.
Well, they were using the same term as 3 different things.
Yeah. And I am fortunate to have the background to be in the phone company, so those terms I know, and now working here, it's like, well, in the phone company it means this, but for GIS it means that. And there's a lot of, I'm kind of like the little interpreter right now. So, but it's fun. I enjoy doing it, keeping me young. Or killing me one.
Yeah. Yeah, moving on. Every month we have an East Central Regional Emergency Management meeting, and we round robin it. We go to other counties, and just that we had one here. We had one at Calumet County. Just go over everything that's going on with the state, usually more grant related things than anything. We were up in Marion. Their safety team's they've got new administrator and principal up there, so they're getting their safety team back together and getting that going. So we went up and helped them. We go to any of the school meetings, safety meetings that they invite us to. Always throw it out there that we're available to go to them. Normal hazmat meetings that's going real well. Working with Heidi a little bit. We've got, we put in the budget next year for a new vehicle, a new tow vehicle for hazmat. But we're thinking we're gonna go a little different direction than using that big trailer that we have in a truck to pull it with. We're looking at used fire department equipment trucks, so it's more like a fire truck, equipment truck. And there's quite a few of them out there, and we're gonna get a lot for our money. But people don't buy them. They don't buy them used. And you know, with any fire truck, there's hardly any miles on them, and they're in good shape and stuff. Sheboygan County just went through and did that. Got a really good deal on one. So we're kind of looking that way. But it's gonna be one of those things because we gotta kind of work outside of a bid because we're trying to buy something used and I mean, we're starting to look now, it might be 2 years before we find something, but you know, we're patient that way. We know what we want. So we'll be pushing that stuff through finance committee when we actually find something, but we put in for next year and the whole capital thing we put in for next year. So we'll see where that goes.
Anniversary. I didn't put that on there. Our hazmat anniversary.
Oh, yeah, we have our 30-year anniversary. Is it this year?
Yeah, June
Yeah.
15th.
So, been around for 30 years and back when we started, a lot of counties had a hazmat team and not very many do anymore, but you still have to recognize one as a county. So you have to contract with somebody or have a team. And we've been fortunate enough to keep our team. A lot of cheerleading and stuff, just because you don't have a high call volume, it's hard to keep it going. But with a lot of good cheerleading and stuff, we've been very successful. And in that, we've taken over Washera County and Portage County. We cover them. So then now we're last few years, we've been a state resource that we could get called anywhere in the state. And they give us a per diem of like $20,000 a year just to be that, kind of be on call for them. But so I think that's going real well. We hosted a continuity of government class. It was a 2-day, 8-hour class, 2 4-hour sessions. I thought it was very good. Part of it. Yeah.
And I was very pleased to see like city administrators and so forth, so in law department heads, judges.
Yep.
Et cetera.
Yep. I pushed it out hard for our department heads and most of them were on. The ones that could be part of it were part of it. It's just, we need to be ready. If we had to move out of our building, we need to be ready on how we're going to do it. We've got a plan. It's an old plan, but I thought it was a good class. With that, they also have a continuity of business plan for private business, and schools fall into that. I put in a request for that class after this one, and I haven't heard yet. I haven't been approved yet for it, but that'll be coming down. And it's the same type of delivery. It's a 2-day Zoom type meeting, so, or class.
Have you had one previously?
Or
Business?
no, I've never done one for the businesses, so this will be exciting. Jeff from WECDC, whatever it is, he said that he's pretty confident that with the industry and stuff that we'll be able to fill that class. We have to have a 25 minimum, 40 maximum students. So he said he didn't really think that we'd have a problem, that people would be all over a class like that. So,
I agree.
We've got another new group that started up. It's the GIS people, like what Jason does with the mapping and stuff. And they've got their state organizations and stuff, but we started up East Central, just our emergency management region for the GIS people. And they had I missed it. I was at another meeting. I think you sat in on it.
Have a good turnout with that, just to get to know your neighbors. Very good.
And they do work with each other. I mean, Jason's always getting information from the counties around us for our border things. And I know they're working a lot with like New London with the E911 stuff with the part of New London that's in Outagamie County. And we have to get street
Center
center
lines and address points.
We'll have the same probably coming up in Marion for the couple houses that are in Toronto. Eric's part of the state user group for EPCRA and Whoppers, the stuff that he uses in here. You're probably the longest tenured one left in the state that does that.
Myself and one other. Donna.
Oh, Donna.
Can you explain what that is, Walker?
So Whoppers is Wisconsin Hazmat Online Reporting System. So with all the facilities in the state and within the county that have chemicals that they have to report, that's the database that it's all stored in. And when I started, I don't think there was anyone in the state that liked that program whatsoever. I thought it was kind of fun, and I kind of took it apart and started making it work, did some workarounds, and we made some changes to it, and we've got a big upgrade plan for this coming year. We redid some of the plans that were created back in the late 80s, early 90s, and over the years, things were added on. We stripped all the stuff that was added in that wasn't required, went back to the basics on it, and it made it a lot more streamlined. And now we're gonna make those available in that online program. Hopefully we'll have at some point the majority of the state using it. It's really good for the responders. They can go in and see the changes immediately rather than, once a year they get an updated plan. So as the changes happen, they can get them.
So this plan tells you where the materials are located?
Yes. So some of that is proprietary on the exact location. So that's all public record. And
After 9/11, they were able to hide a few things like the location of their chemical.
yeah,
We know what it is. We know what they have. We know where it is.
Yeah,
But
I mean, so a building contains some material, but you don't know where in that building?
most of them we do
Yeah.
exactly where it is, but there's a list of chemicals that Homeland Security said, we don't want you to tell anybody where these are.
Really?
Other than it's on that site.
So I'm just saying like the fire departments that go, there's a fire hose.
yeah, they know where this stuff is at, and a lot of it comes down to from their fire inspecting that they do. They
Okay.
get around it.
And so that information is not included in your.
Right. The facilities we have in Wapaka County, there's only 2 chemicals that I know of that they don't specifically list the exact location. We have, site plans, and there'll be a blue box here and that chemical's right there. There's 2 chemicals that are not listed there. They'll say, northeast part of the building. So it gives you a clue, but we don't have anything that's really top secret stuff. I'm fine with that.
So if you came over and wanted to know what kind of chemicals were in Dairy Queen or something, if they reported anything. That's all public information, and that's what we do through Eric's office, is provide that information. So they don't have much there on the street.
Within the city of New London, Pilker Warehousing, they've got ammonia.
More on the Outagamie side than on our side.
Yep, all the city wells have chlorine. There's a little sulfuric acid in batteries for UPS, forklifts and whatnot. That's majority of what we get.
Outagamie would be in there too, so I mean,
Yes.
that's.
So like you'll try or
Right.
whatever it is called today, they report all of their ammonia.
I mean, that's like New England Fire Department.
Mhm.
Services, those, you only got the information. from
Yep.
Rapid County.
In the industrial park that's on the,
Yeah, Bemis,
in the Outagamie side. Yeah, so they get their information from 2 different counties.
and our hazmat team can see, well, they can see the entire state because we are a state asset. So we can look at any county and see what they have within the Whoppers program. That's exciting.
First responders also have information to those.
Yeah, so our fire departments, they'd be able to log into to the county's information.
I'm thinking not the paid firemen, but like my nephew's a first responder, gets called out on a lot of calls. And somebody's
We
still.
don't usually, we haven't had requests from EMS for that kind of information. Most of it goes to the fire department request, because it's usually a fire or something like that that's been the issue. But no, we've never had a request for any other responders. We have, now that our grants close out in January, we had a meeting in Green Lake County with the grant people from our state office that approves our grants. So it'll be the EMPG, what funds my office, and the APCRA, which funds Eric's office. And we just get in a room together with them and make sure that, that the i's are dotted and the t's are crossed and make sure everything looks good. It just helps the grant go through faster. They've done this the last couple of years and it really has made it a lot easier closing out the grants. So we took, Tara's new down in finance, so we took her with us. And she gets to see the other finance people that do our grants and stuff too, so, and talk to the people that administer them at the state. So it just makes it a lot cleaner for the closeout and stuff at the end. We don't have to go back and forth with emails and stuff.
Just a
Um,
question.
yep.
I should know this sitting on finance, but how much of your positions are funded by grants?
Mine is around 50,000. Eric's 16, 17. Yeah, his comes from the state, mine comes from FEMA. And then a lot of times there'll be left over that counties didn't spend everything that they could, like the bigger counties, like the Milwaukee's and stuff, they get huge pile of money compared to what we get. It goes by population and I don't know what else in their formula. So then they redistribute the money, and there's a lot of times that we'll get more on the EMPG months afterwards. So I don't know what it'll be now with our new, now that we're on calendar year, probably be mid-year before they get that figured out. We'll get another few $1,000s.
Are there certain things that you have to accomplish during the year in order to get?
Yeah, that's our plan of work that well, that's all changed now. So up until this year, it was a plan of work. We had, this is your list of assignments. This is what you need to complete this year. And that's, it's plan reviews and public talks and severe weather stuff. And I mean, there's a training, you have to have so many hours of training. There's a lot of stuff to it. And it takes us a year to get it done. So, yeah, there are requirements for it. And with the EPCRA side of it, the requirements there are to make sure that the facilities that report, and that's and then we have to review their plans and stuff. So that's part of that one. We had a regional tabletop exercise for hazardous material release, and the theme was a truck leak anhydrous ammonia, and each county went through it as if it was happening in their county. Did that last Monday when I was gone, so Eric ran that one.
And with your question about the first responders, one of the things that came up in that exercise, when we do exercises, we have to do an after action review and an improvement plan. One of the things that was identified in there is we need better hazmat awareness for the first responder groups.
I can see that, because my nephew's talked about some situations he's walked in.
And we do, our hazmat team goes around, anybody that wants a hazmat awareness team, they're able to teach that class. It's a 4-hour class. And we do all the fire departments every year. Occasionally we'll break into law enforcement and they'll want one, but that's a hard one. But we do get in every few years to get them done.
There's a lot of tools out there that are available, like on your smartphone. There's probably 4 or 5 different apps that'll take you through the basic parts of hazmat incidents when you come up onto them. But you have to be able to recognize them. That's a hazmat incident. Exactly. There's a couple tools that are pretty old fashioned, but we either call them vertical hazard indicators or coptometers. So when you come up to a scene and you see a cop laying down on the ground, they like to rush in. That's an indicator that there's something wrong. There might be something wrong there. You know, I'm making a little jest of it, but it is. I mean, those are things.
Like the chickadee they take into the mine.
Yeah.
Attended the Towns Association. I try to make every one of them. It's just nice to see it's about my only time I get to see all the town chairmen and stuff. Just nice to keep up to date with who's there. And
Had a mic for me.
which one?
Coles.
Oh, he never comes.
Mike
No,
Coles.
he does not come home.
Oh, darn.
Oh.
Isn't that strange?
It is.
Yeah. Yeah, there's usually somebody there running it, and I can't think what her name is. I think their attorney up there. She's on. I probably will do a presentation at the next one for disaster assessment. You know, after a storm, what's your responsibility as a town chairman? So probably do that at the next one. This afternoon, noon to 3, we're doing a tabletop exercise with Wapaka School District. They must be off school today, so we were able to get all their safety teams from all their schools to come in. We're doing that downstairs at the courthouse. And work through, I think they found a bomb or something is the gist of the exercise. We're not getting hung up on that. But our exercise is, now that your kids are out of the school, where do they go and what do you do and how do you get them back to their parents? The whole reunification part of it. We practice lockdown and stuff all the time, and we do fire drills all the time, but we don't do the reunification stuff enough. Because that's gonna be just a hoop storm that happens. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it's gonna be a really good exercise.
Change schools. We'll go to the town of Farmington,
Yep.
and my wife has worked with Ron Sorry a lot on that.
Yeah, so we have a couple of different things. We have evacuation sites, and then we have a reunification site. We don't like to say where that is, but they'll pick them up like there and take them to their unification sites. It'll be good. I'm anxious to see what comes out of the training today or the tabletop.
Hope we never have to use it.
Right, yeah. We finished up training all of the people on the second floor for the run, hide, fight. We're still planning on doing the lockdown drill. It's just trying to get everybody's schedules together. It's gonna take 15 or 20 minutes in the morning. And we ran out of February, and now we're looking at some March dates to go up and do a drill for them. When we're done with that, then we'll start training the first floor people on run, hide, fight, and then we'll do the first floor and basement probably together. And then we'll start over on the third floor again.
So is the county board,
We can do you guys. So there's not any,
You might want to rethink that. I mean, how many of us can still run?
well, that's why and I was trying to think of a nice way to say that. But no, that's a fact. I mean,
Yeah.
we're not gonna run out the door. What we're gonna do is lock down. We're gonna lock down in the room, and this is what we do when we lock down.
but you may have some, us young guys run out the room.
Absolutely. I mean, that's your option.
Reunification.
Yeah,
I mean, at some point, do
Yeah.
you want to know that Mark is dead outside or? is he-
right. Yeah, so we will do, for a run, hide, fight thing, so an active shooter, something like that. We care about accountability, but we don't care right away. We need to take care of business here first, then we'll start looking for everybody. So you were in my training the other day.
Yes.
What we do is, what we train people to do is get out, run, go as far as you can.
Yep.
Till you're safe, and then get a hold of your supervisor and tell them I'm at XYZ and I'm safe. And for each supervisor to take some accountability for their people, because one person can't be in charge of accountability for the second floor. I mean, that's just too much, but each supervisor can, and then report back to Ted or whoever.
Follow me down the hall. I'll just stay behind me.
So he's the slowest one that gets eaten by the bear.
Right.
And run, hide, fight, you don't have to do all three. It's
Right.
options. What's
Right.
best, you know?
Yeah, it might be all three.
If you need to.
I mean, they could see all three potentially.
Oh, yeah,
County board
absolutely.
as an example.
Absolutely. And yeah, we got a lot of options when it comes to all of them, so.
Yeah.
So we're working on that, and that's kind of a second floor, that's a big deal. I mean, there's a lot of people on the second floor, and they have issues up there with angry people and
Yep.
whatnot, so. I mean, that's
You hear
it's
some
an important
stories
floor.
from these.
Yeah, it's an important floor to have done, so. I'm anxious to get that one done.
There's always third floor too.
Yeah, we did that one right before COVID in 19. We did the third floor.
Kind of exciting over in Green Bay in the courtroom.
Jeez. That shit business. They're crazy is what she is. Let's see where we are. Working with Clintonville Fire Department right now. They're trying to do some pre-planning for asters. I made them some maps and stuff where they can, it's probably as big as this table here with the whole area right there where they can actually, play like on a map with their little Hot Wheel fire trucks and stuff and do some pre-planning for Aster if anything ever happens in that building. So
What's Astor?
it's the old hospital. It's a senior living.
Oh,
It's just kind of a chopped up building that it's just hard to get around in.
Yeah, it was a nice hospital at one time.
Yeah.
yeah.
EMT for years there, and then I was on the board of directors when it folded.
Yeah. Well, then the other one, I guess we had to talk about, we've had a few planning meetings for our tabletop exercise today. A couple other things that I didn't put on the list. I finished up the RFP for the replacing the Simcoe Tower. We're doing that with ARPA money, I think. And it's up in Diane's office, and she understands now that if you give me a tanker of methyl ethyl bad stuff, I can take care of that, but I'm not the legal guy to write out RFPs. So she's working on getting that to where it needs to be so we can get that sent out and get that process started. And then I found out that Olson Hall at the Veterans Home is now empty, and they're planning on tearing it down after they built their new building, which is a little bit of an issue because I have radios on the top of Olson Hall. We're gonna figure out something for it. So I know the water is shut off in the building. I hope the power's on yet, but I gotta call the guy today to find out where we're at. The last building that they tore down took, years before they had all the planning done and stuff to tear it down. So I got a little time, but came up a lot quicker than I thought it was gonna come up.
They're not gonna replace it.
No, it's just gonna be, so we sat through their meeting out there last night. We met with them last year, just kind of going through what their long-term plan is. So they've got a lot less people coming to the Veterans Home. And with new legislation, they're able to stay in their area. So if we have somebody from Bayfield that's a veteran that needs to go to a nursing home, they don't have to come down here anymore. The state will pay for them to go to a local nursing home. This what should happen.
Yep.
So we're not gonna have 5 or 6 buildings full of people. And the acuity level of people going in are a lot higher now. So it's not that people going out there to retire like they did, 30 years ago. They had all the activities and wood shops and all that kind of stuff. And their bowling alley, people go out there and retire and just, carry on out there and do stuff. And they have their tour buses and stuff. It's not like that anymore. Now it's like a nursing home where it's high acuity level patients and stuff in there. I mean, they're even stopping doing their events that they have out in their square and stuff out there because their people can't do it. And so their long-term goal is just to have Ainsworth Hall and Moses Hall. That's it, just the two buildings. And I think most of them are empty now, except for those two. If Olson's empty, I think that was the Stordock's empty,
Stordock was empty.
MacArthur's empty. Stardock, McCarthy, and Olson, I didn't realize it. Yeah, a lot faster than I thought it was gonna go.
And Ovi's gone.
Isn't that where Moses is now? We're kind of in that area.
Ovi was where they used to have called the hospital.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we toured through the new building. I don't know, you hear stuff out in the community that it's a piece of junk and it's not level and things are breaking. That's not true. It's a very nice building. Were you in that day?
No, I didn't go
Oh.
there.
If you get a chance to go through that building, they did a really nice job. But they put it's not a repeater, an amplifier in the building with antennas on every floor for our radios. So we go in there. It's hard to get out of any of those type of buildings with a portable radio, but they put an amplifier on every floor for law enforcement and fire department to use their radios. It's like, wow, that's a great idea. And that was expensive for them to have that foresight and do something like that. That was pretty good.
So at one time they had over 700 people.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That's what I was at a
Yeah.
contract building. So what are they gonna be down to now?
I don't remember a number. I'm thinking like 300,
Yeah.
200 to 300.
Sure.
At one point at their peak, they had about 1,100 members and about 600 staff, and now it's split. This is staff for the care, I mean, that level of care.
Well, they had all the cabins and stuff too. And,
Okay,
And then one other thing that I saw this on my desk when it came through, Andy's talked about a couple of the programs we went through. We put together a couple of years ago, it's a elected officials guide to emergency management, and that's constantly being updated. And that one, that was the most current, but it's still outdated. So once that's done, when we talk about our disaster assessment stuff and things like that, these we share quite regularly as needed. Is that?
after every election.
Yeah.
A lot of times. it's stuff.
So it's just basic things in there. I think we gave that all to the county board a couple of years ago. I'm not
I
sure.
think you're right.
We've given that out a couple of times.
So we'll have
And
that.
kind of with that, I meet once a month with the 4 city administrators that we have in the county. That's why we go back up and London. Man, we got a great group of administrators.
These are outdated, so if you want to have them.
Jeff's doing a great job over
We'll get rid
here.
of them.
And so I meet with them once a month and they're really starting to get into the emergency management stuff. They're updating their plans, they're getting some of them were at the training that we were at. The ones that weren't there already had meetings and stuff, or they would have been there. But I mean, now we're looking at the mutual aid agreement for public works. We pulled that back out and they're going over that. It's good group to get together. They have a lot of
So
resources.
our next meeting will be April 10th, 2023. That brings up a question,
I'll probably be there.
probably.
I'll try not to be on vacation for that one.
I'm gonna ask you two, when you want to do your spring disaster
Oh,
weather
yes.
at WTCH? with me?
Probably April
April?
Yeah.
Okay,
19th.
That'll be after,
Oh, I can't do the 19th.
that would be after the tornado or.
Probably March.
March,
March.
okay,
Let's see. Is that the 15th?
Third
Third Wednesday? Yeah, we're good that day.
March 15th. Good.
Interestingly enough, that's the one week I'll be in California that week.
Oh, yeah.
Hopefully. My daughter sends me the tickets. She keeps the promise,
How long are you gonna be gone for?
just a week. We're
I'm
going
gonna
to,
have to, I'm gonna have to talk to you. How do you get your kids to send you tickets?
it's not easy. And it's getting harder every year.
Yeah.
Okay,
They'll
I'll
laugh at me if I said.
entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Morak to adjourn, second by Murphy. All in favor, say aye. Aye,
Aye.
opposed.
Hi,
Thank you, Joe.
you're welcome. Andy, can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine.
Andy, this is rumor, but I heard that all 3 administrators were leaving Manawa. Are you aware of that?
School.
I heard that from someone.
I know that Melanie's retiring. And that's the only one I think I have heard. So the principals are leaving too?
That's what I had heard, and I didn't verify with anybody, but with your safety concerns and that, you might
Yeah.
want to poke into that
Yeah.
a little bit.
Well, I know Dan retired last year, the high school principal. And then Ray up in Iola, he just retired, or just, he's taking a different job after this year. Yeah, I'll give Melanie a call and find out.
See, and maybe it's rumor, but somebody said that to me. Do you know that all 3 are new next year? And I said I did not.
Oh, well, they've got a new police chief over there, who's doing a great job, getting back into the school and stuff. So I've got a lot of confidence in, that he'll be good for that. But yeah, I'll find out.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Tell me a little bit about the police chief, because where did he come from?
He actually worked part-time at Manawa years ago.
Oh, he did?
He was at Fox Crossing with Tom and Asha.
Sure.
So that's where he came from. So, he knows the area and he knows the system. Good guy. They're lucky to get him. Hopefully they can hang on to him for a while.
Are they getting John Smith back? Maybe.
That's the recording. All right, we're gonna go, Joe.